Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Emily Finn. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We invite you to join the conversation on Getter and Rumble. Time now to take the political pulse of America and the beat today, pride in America's armed forces. We here at Real America's Voice were on the ground for the entire Marine 250 celebration, and here are some of the highlights. Take a look.
The Marine 250 event, Cedar Shore, it's a celebration of the United States Marines. We got it all lined up for you here today.
Marines and sailors are coming from the air, land, and sea.
This is all about commemorating the 250th birthday of our great United States Marines.
The best of the best in our country.
What a time to be alive.
The strongest and fittest service member in all branches.
What you learn in the Marine Corps is a sense of faith in America.
The Marine Corps is also a microcosm of this country. You've got black, white, man, woman.
American sea power is not just a concept, it's an unmatched capability.
Our adversaries know how strong we are.
You do not want to be on the receiving end of that bunch of whooping.
To every Marine here today, thank you for carrying a legacy 250 years strong.
Happy birthday, guns up, Semper Fi!
Hoorah, Marines! You are set apart for a distinct purpose. You kill bad guys and break things for a living. You close with and destroy the enemy for a living.
The finest fighting force anywhere in the world. Marines can kick in every theater of combat, and we do it every single day. Semper Fidelis, Marines. Happy 250th birthday.
For discussion, let's bring back David Brody and Terrence Bates. Terrence, what do you think about what the vice president had to say at this event? I mean, I think that this was a great way for us to honor our Marines.
No, absolutely. I sat through the vice president's comments as well as the Secretary of War's comments. I also watched kind of the reenactment, if you will, as the Marines took the beach and kind of cleared the area. My big takeaway for this, David, was really that this was the best recruiting tool ever. Any kid that was sitting there watching this and kind of watching how cool all of this was, it was kind of a real life reenactment of what we all did as kids, as boys, maybe even some girls. This was probably one of the greatest recruitment tools available to the administration to get young people excited about serving in the Marines or the armed forces in general. And what a great way to honor the Marines and show that patriotism.
Yeah, of course, I agree with all that. Of course, Gavin Newsom has to, be the troller guy out there, the creeper troller guy who basically said, it's really not nice to fire live rounds over a highway. It's dangerous. He's talking about I-5 there in California, Interstate 5. And the White House is saying, give me a break. Everything was fine. There was no danger to anybody. But, it's just, once again, it goes to a tone deaf, view from the Democrats. There's this rah, let's all get behind the military, the Marines in this case. And, we got the testosterone flowing. And it's a course correction, let's be honest, from what we saw during the Biden administration and the Obama administration. And it was a wonderful thing to see. And yet all Gavin Newsom can complain about is live rounds over I-5. I mean, these people. I'm just so done with them. And you know what? Here's the good news. A lot of the American people are done with them as well, except for people with blue hair at a No Kings rally. Emily.
Yeah. I think you're spot on with that there, David. Great discussion. And it is a great weekend to celebrate this milestone with the Marine Corps. Let's bring the conversation back here. Sorry, you guys are having a little bit of technical difficulties with our teleprompter here.
I think we've got Joe diGenova. Excuse me, Emily. I think I can't even say his name anymore. Joe diGenova is joining us now.
There we go.
Go
we got
ahead,
there.
Take it away.
Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Joe, we want to talk to you about
sorry,
John Bolton.
first of all, for messing up your name. I do know it's Joe diGenova. I just couldn't get it out. Good to see you.
Doesn't matter. I'm here. That's all that matters.
And the most important thing is if you get out the analysis on this, which is about John Bolton, obviously charges against him, the former national security advisor to President Trump. He was, of course, as you know, Joe, but just to remind everybody, Bolton hit with a litany of charges. It included unlawful transmission of national defense information. He's now pleading not guilty to all 18 counts. Talk to us about it. Where do you how do you feel that the charges will hold up or not hold up?
Well, these are very serious charges. and they appear to be, from the text of the indictment, very, very well-based and factually based. He's charged with transmission of national defense information, which is a violation of the Espionage Act, and there are numerous instances, at least 18, in which he did this. Now, the worst part is that he didn't transmit them to somebody who had a clearance to receive them. He transmitted them to his wife and daughter. Now, he claims these were merely diary entries. The reason he's doing that is that diaries enjoy a protection under Supreme Court rulings for privacy. But these weren't diaries. These were draft memos of things that were happening in real time that he was participating in as a national security advisor. And they were being transmitted to people who did not have a clearance to receive them. Now, I'm sure he's going to put up all sorts of defenses about why he did this and how it was okay and that this really wasn't classified information. But he'll have to do that through an affirmative defense, not through cross-examination. So it'll be very interesting to see if he takes the witness stand. I think he may very well take the witness stand because he doesn't have a criminal record, which is one of the reasons that most people don't take the witness stand. And I think he's a very smart guy. And and one of the things that's most interesting about John, I've known John for 30 years, is that he's very smart and that he thinks that he's very smart and that he thinks that he's smarter than anybody else in the room, including the President of the United States. So it'll be interesting to see. It's a very sound indictment. He'll be tried in Maryland, which is a very blue state. He'll have a very blue jury pool. So he will have that advantage, and we'll see what happens.
You know, the Trump administration is really starting to slowly but surely crack down on people who may have made missteps and overstepped their bounds. That, of course, brings me to Jack Smith. He has now been formally referred to the Department of Justice's Office of Professional Responsibility for potential misconduct and disbarment. What can you tell us about that particular case?
Well, the Office of Professional Responsibility has been for years a cover-up operation inside the department where referrals were made about prosecutors, and they basically went there to die. It's like an elephant burial ground. It was particularly corrupt during the Biden administration because legitimate complaints against prosecutors were buried faster than any place else. I don't know who's running the Office of Professional Responsibility at Main Justice now, but they'll have an opportunity to take a look at what Jack Smith did. Some of the most egregious, unethical, outrageous conduct by a prosecutor in the history of the Department of Justice. This should be an easy call for OPR. We'll see how they handle it. It'll be interesting. I think there's a lot to say about what Jack Smith did. And in my opinion, some of what he did may have crossed the line into a territory of illegality. We'll see.
Joe, President Trump's trade tariffs are hitting a legal challenge now, this time from a group known as the Liberty Justice Center. They're saying the president's tariffs violate the Constitution. What's your take on this?
Well, there's very little law on this at the Supreme Court level, and I think that the president has a pretty good shot, at least 50-50, of winning his cases in the Supreme Court. Let's remember why the president is doing this. He's not doing this to make money, although part of the result of this is that the United States is making billions of dollars from the tariffs, but he's doing it to upend anti-U.S., anti-national security activities by the people who have imposed tariffs on us. So he has imposed reciprocal tariffs under certain circumstances and independent tariffs under other circumstances. Which of those tariffs will survive, I think, is a pretty interesting legal question. The courts thus far have ruled that the president's tariffs are illegal, but some of the judges who have been in those cases have dissented, and they've said that the president has this inherent power and that he even has it under the statutes that he's citing, the International Economic Emergencies Acts and other acts. My view is that ultimately the president will win in the Supreme Court, and the court will rule that he has vast power under his role as commander-in-chief and as the protector of national defense, and that vast power to protect the United States includes the imposition of tariffs when he deems it appropriate. I think he'll win. It may not be by much. It might be 5-4, but I think he's going to win.
Joe, one other legal question for you on the National Guard. Obviously, that's being challenged in the courts as it relates to the Posse Comitatus Act. But then the Insurrection Act, if he ever invokes that, I'm assuming there's an itching for a fight with the Trump legal team wants that fight potentially because the Supreme Court really hasn't weighed in much on that, if at all. Help me out if I'm wrong on that, but it seems like those are some legal fights ahead.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. There are already some circuit court rulings saying that he can bring the troops to the state, but he cannot deploy them. Well, bringing them to the state doesn't serve any useful purpose under Article 2 if you can't deploy them. These courts are all wrong. The president has the authority to deploy the National Guard to protect federal employees, federal facilities, federal programs, and to allow for the faithful execution of federal law. That's all the president is doing here. He's not asking them to engage in local law enforcement. The opposition from Pritzker and Newsom is purposely confusing. They want to make it look like they're against the Guard being there for law enforcement. The Guard is there to protect ICE, other federal agents, federal buildings, federal facilities, and to allow for the execution of federal law. The president ultimately will win in the Supreme Court on this issue. Whether he uses the Insurrection Act or something else, he's going to win.
Yeah, it seems clear cut to me. I mean, as long as they're not going around arresting, Americans on the streets in terms of the National Guard, that should be the delineation point. Joe diGenova, great to have you with us today.
Sure.
Thanks, Joe.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. Coming up, Senator Cory Booker. Is he still speaking on the Senate floor? I don't really care. He joined the radical left's No King's Day demonstrations over the weekend. I know, you can't wait to hear what he had to say. But we're going to dig into that and so much more because we've got to point out some of what he's talking about. If you know what I'm saying, we're back in a moment.